Hey everybody, this is Longo, and in this video we are going to cover vectors that have a magnitude and direction and do a little bit more with them until we get to what a unit vector is. So this video is going to have 3 examples working our way to it. There's a little bit of polar review you should remember. Remember, r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Theta is equal to the inverse tangent of y over x. And then also remember that x is equal to r cosine theta and y is equal to r sine theta. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, a lot of vectors is just review of other things we've done before with fancy notation until you work your way up to the reason for all the different things vectors are used for, which a lot of that has to do with physics. So, first question is just saying find the magnitude and direction of negative 2i hat plus 7j hat. Now, your formula for magnitude is basically the same thing as the polar review. R squared is equal to x squared plus y squared, kind of like the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, but when you're finding c, you end up square rooting that. So this double absolute value of a vector, that's the notation for the magnitude of a vector. And in vectors, instead of using theta, we use alpha. And it's still the inverse tangent, but it's b over a, because remember, a is your x direction and b is your y direction with vectors, okay? So to find the magnitude and direction of this vector here, first, kind of think about where that is. So negative 2, 7. Remember, this is kind of like x is negative 2 and y is 7. So negative 2, 7 is somewhere around here. This would be negative 2, 7. And what's nice to always start at the origin so you can see which quadrant you're in. And to do this, all we need to do is this formula. So double absolute value of a vector is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared. So that is a negative 2 squared plus 7 squared, which is just going to be the square root of 53. And that's it. That's the magnitude. You are now done with the magnitude. Next part is finding the direction. So alpha is equal to inverse tangent of b over a. So that would be 7 over a negative 2. And alpha is going to give us negative 74.05 degrees. Now, just like in polar, that takes us to quadrant 4. We don't want quadrant 4. We want to be in quadrant 2. So this is 180 minus 74.05. So our alpha, or our direction, is 105.95 degrees. And if you kind of look at that vector, that'll tell you exactly how far you're going, which is kind of like your Pythagorean theorem again. And it is going to tell you how many degrees you have gone, kind of like from the unit circle, from our positive x. All right? And that's how you find magnitude and direction. Next question. I'm going to give you the magnitude and the direction, and you're going to work backwards and say, how do you write it in the form of ai plus bj? And to do that, all you really have to do is think about our old r cosine theta and r sine theta for our x and y. Okay, so x is going to be equal to the magnitude of the vector times the cosine of alpha. So we're going to have x is equal to the magnitude 10 times the cosine of 230 degrees. And all you have to do is type that in your graphing calculator. Make sure you are in degrees. And that's going to give you a negative 6.43. And then to do the same thing for y, y is just the magnitude of the vector times the sine of alpha. Again, same as r cosine theta and, just switching over to vector. So this is 10 sine of 230, which, again, type that in the calculator and you get negative 7.66. So your final answer for the vector v is going to be equal to negative 6.43. That's your a value, which is, of course, I hat. And now we have minus 7.66, and that is our j hat. Done. Game over. The last is, now that we know how to do that stuff, we are at a unit vector. Now, a unit vector is basically just giving you a direction of 1 unit magnitude. And this is used in physics. And the formula is basically v hat, which means unit vector, and it's equal to your vector in your AI plus bj form divided by the magnitude of the vector. So we just got done finding the magnitude of a vector. To do that, in this example, the magnitude of vector v is equal to, and you just do the square root of 5 squared plus 12 squared, and that's going to give you the square root of 169, which of course we know is 13. So now the unit vector is just this divided by your magnitude of 13. So v hat is equal to 5 I hat plus 12 j hat all over 13, which of course you would write in its final notation. And of course you could reduce if necessary. These cannot be. So this would be 5 over 13i plus 12 over 13j. And that's it for this video on using magnitude and direction to find a unit vector. This is Longo and I'm out. See you, bye.